Hello guys, thanks for joining. I'm inviting the panelists to speak now. We also should be joined by Master Ogwe pretty soon. I'm just gonna give one more minute for everybody to jump in and we'll get the show on the road.
Hello. I've connected successfully.
So you have, my friend. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thank you for having me, Tudor. How are you?
Doing excellent. It's been a big week in the Hedera space. Also, the big news about the new council member today.
I know, pretty
Couldn't be
great.
more excited. Yeah, it's great. 2 others are in the pipeline, right?
Yep, so I've heard. Lots more to come. That's really cool. Can you hear me okay, Tudor?
Loud and clear, sir. Earthlings, thanks for joining us. You are a speaker. Koala, I invited you to become a speaker. If you don't see the request, please request to speak, please. And we'll get this show on the road. This is the second episode of the Hedera Ecosystem Spotlight series. And today we're joined by Earthlings and Koala Klub. We intend of having this series run once every 2 weeks, and we're gonna have new and exciting faces every other week and discuss about their insight. We're gonna try to tackle as many diverse topics as we can, and get some insight on the new projects coming to Hedera, the technologies that they are building on Hedera, why they are doing so, and more importantly, get to know their projects inside and out. This is something that Headstarter is very dedicated to, bringing forward to the community the most secure, the most innovative and disruptive projects in Hedera for the community to get to know better and potentially back up.
Beautifully said, Tudor. And it's fantastic to have today with us Patrick from Earthlings. And I see Koala Mao. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but why don't you go ahead and say hi to everybody?
Yeah, hey, how's it going? You did say that correctly. So, first and foremost, really appreciate you guys having us on here. I think Buck is stepping too. He might need a request so he can kind of talk a little. But yeah, we'll both talk a little bit. Obviously, we'll explain the project, and I don't know if you want to give this another second or so for more people to hop on. But as soon as you're ready, we'll start diving in.
Awesome. Patrick, did you want to say hi?
Hi. Yeah, I'm here. I'm here, guys. Happy to join. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, it's great to have you. Yep, I'm ready whenever you are, Tudor.
Lead the way, Alex.
I tried passing it on to you. You're passing it right back. Oh, well. Yeah, no. Oh, Koala Klub. I believe we have Koala.
Yeah, what's up? My bad. I had connection issues trying to get that fixed.
That's no problem. Nice. Good. Glad you could join us. We got 2 from the Koala Klub representing.
Yes. So I need some backup too then. Not fair.
Yeah. It's 2 and 2 and 1. Maybe I should just leave. All right, well, it's amazing to have you guys here. Thank you again so much for joining. And thank you to everybody else that's tuning into this Twitter Spaces. Now to kick it off, I'd love to hear an introduction from each of you to get to know you better. And starting with Koala Buck. Just why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I'm Koala Buck. I'm founder of Koala Klub, as well as Captain Koala. And we got here from, it's almost been a year since we've been a project, to continuing to grow. Hedera was a big option for us to there's a lot of options out there, and Hedera was one of the best ones when you looked at it and broke it down, and just overall was the reason why we chose to go on Hedera. And a few things that we're doing now is just getting ready for our Gen 2 mint on Saturday. Yeah.
I saw it's very exciting.
Thank you.
Well, you have to tell us more about that further in. Koala Mao, would you also like to give us a brief introduction of yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So once again, appreciate you having us on here and able to use your platform to talk a little bit about the project and ourselves. So my name is Koala Mall. So I'm the Chief Strategy Officer of Koala Hash Club. The project started back in November 2021. So like Buck was saying, about a year ago. And I came on board, I think about March 2022. So a couple months after the project had launched. Originally it was just kind of a member within the community. Had a bunch of koalas in my wallet, and so I was one of the first 50 EVIP members to kind of join, and just basically really started to get close with Cap and Buck. Just kind of started feeding them a bunch of ideas, game plans I had, things that kind of help the project and move it along. So that way it wouldn't kind of be left in the wayside like a lot of the projects that unfortunately have not been as successful. So for some reason they decided to listen to me. Started taking some of my ideas, so I really appreciate that. And then, in March, they officially decided to make me a member of the team. So, I'm really focused on kind of the big picture stuff. So a lot of major decisions within the project, some of the design and look, pretty much anything that involves, not just something that Cap and Buck would decide on, but they, relay a lot of ideas and bounce things off me. And I kind of just use, some of my knowledge within the industry and the space to kind of help guide them. So once again, really appreciate it, and I want to go ahead and pass the mic.
Well, you guys have been pretty much from the beginning, and we know that a lot of people from the Headstarter team do have some koalas of their own, and there was one collaborative Headstarter NFT that we dropped with you guys, and that was a big auction, right? A big auction win. Could you guys tell us a bit about that event?
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, we had it was for the charity auction that we did in May, and the proceeds were for Mental Health Awareness Month because it was in May, and the collaboration was to raise funds, so people, it's a lot of times to get easily in a spiral when you're in the space, and there's a lot of hardships that come along with being in here, either from social life, money loss, or any of the following. And we just wanted to spread awareness of you're not alone, and that's why we went with Headstarter to get a collaborative piece and just spread the message out there.
It was great that you guys dedicated the donations of the proceedings from the sale to such an important cause. Just to remind everybody, the Hedera Ecosystem Spotlight series is something that we run every couple of weeks, and we try to bring the best projects in the Hedera space to speak about how they're utilizing the Hedera infrastructure, native services, and intrinsic capabilities, so that we get to know the projects better. And I'm excited also to have along Koala Club today, Patrick. Would you like to tell us a bit about yourself, please?
Yeah, we'll be happy to. So yeah, you already said my name is Patrick. I'm actually a crypto enthusiast. I have a background of 20 years in design and concept making, together with my brother actually, Marcel. We all believe actually that all new technology in the coming years will be running on blockchain. And at this moment, personally, myself, I live in France on the countryside. Where luckily now we have a fiber optic connection, by the way, or I could not have done this project if it weren't for that. So yeah, even in these rural areas, progress is being made. So I'm going to say a little bit about the other two founders as well, because it's not a solo show, of course. The whole team is involved. So my twin brother, that's Marcel. He's a big funder of our project, as is Jorgo. So we are with three founders. So I do in-game design and communication. Marcel does marketing and other designers aspects. And Jorgo is actually head of technology and game development. And we all have our partners in crime in the team for all these departments, of course. So the three of us, we saw the potential of this emerging market. We put together an amazing team, we think, and here we are building the first gaming metaverse on Hedera, based from the Netherlands. I'm the only one stuck in France. No, not the only one. No. It's Milan too, but let's not get too much in detail.
Thank you very much for that intro, Patrick. And I guess we all know Milan. He's a bit of a Hedera OG himself. Now that we know who you guys are, we'd love to hear more about the project that you've been working on. Both of you guys have done amazing things in the space and have a very large following. Patrick, would you like to tell us a bit more about Earthlings and the project itself, what you guys have achieved so far, and what's next?
Yeah, it's hard to keep this brief. Actually, I'll try to do my best. So, Earthlings, we are a family-friendly steampunk fantasy-influenced gaming metaverse, where we really like to have gaming and design something that we want to really excel in. We think that good concept, gameplay, is very important, because we feel that that if you now still want to make a difference in this emerging market, because it's still actually a young market. I mean, let's be honest. 10 years ago, no one heard about metaverses. But you really need to step it up, because you don't want to be left with an empty metaverse where you can just meet and greet, but you really want to attract gamers this time. It's Marcel and I, when we talked about this, we said, yeah, it's cool to visit the concert in the metaverse, but let's be honest, visiting a concert in real life is so much more fun. So if you want to make a difference, that's not where you need to excel in, but good design, gameplay, that is something that will really now give you an advantage. That's what we believe if you make a new project like this, because if your metaverse is left empty in the long run, because gamers will really stay in, then you just have a big empty digital space. And people who have been following us for a while already, I think they already see that we're really focusing on great game design. Next up is, of course, also great gameplay. We're going to start simple with looking around the map for lost technology, animals that you can use, so that you can sell them, implement, and we'll just be adding to that, implementing more gameplay as we grow. But we need to start, of course, step by step, baby steps. So we would like to see ourselves more also as a gaming metaverse, where play to earn is actually a feature, but gaming, that's what it's about. So that's a big aspect, of course, of our metaverse. But people who are here to own land in different sorts of ways, actually, they're being looked at as well, of course, because we are a metaverse. You will be able to own a shop, a train station, limited, by the way, so you're lucky if you get one of those. Start a business in any way you like. You can even be a taxi driver or an airship captain if possible. We really like to widen out the whole metaverse gameplay. So we try to incorporate all sorts of people, NFT collectors, quest players, I think that's an important one, arcade games, land investors, maybe even, no, not maybe, they will be there, strategic players, team players, and so on. So it's not an easy task, I know that, and I can talk on for hours, but because it's such a big thing that we're building, but it's an exciting challenge and we love to take it on. So I try to keep it short, but the project is too big to really do it in 2 lines.
I'm with you there. I think that a short introduction always for the passion for our projects, the ones that we're especially passionate about, is very hard to capture in a elevator pitch type of environment. So it's great to see how passionate you are, and we're also, all the community is watching to see Earthlings grow to the successful vision that you have. And speaking of passionate builders, I would like to issue the same question over to Koala Klub. If you can give us an intro about the project, what's happened so far, and what's up next.
Yeah. Thank you. So, Koala Klub, like I said in the a little bit in the introduction, we started back in November of 2021. Our mission is to make a difference in the world through NFTs. It's very hard to make a imprint when you're just one person, and it feels like it's impossible. So in order to accomplish these goals, we donate at least 2% minimum of all profits to charity, like koala sanctuaries, and then some miscellaneous like charity auctions that we do. So with and then we try to just include everyone and not really exclude anyone. We just try very hard to make everyone feel welcome and just do the very best to just focus and spread a positive message. We're also working on like our Gen 2 is this Saturday, October 8th. The last drop we had, I believe, was in March. So it's been 6 months since we had a drop. So, the whole team is super excited working on that. So getting that put out very, 2 days, not even 2 days from now. So that's really like the huge thing for us. We're also working on a liquidation pool for our coin after Gen 2 is fully out. So that should be, before the end of the year. So that's some stuff that, we're working on right now. I could go on and on and on, as well as all the stuff we're working on. But yeah.
That's very exciting to hear, especially knowing how leading up to your Gen 2 drop, you've had all these milestones, events, and it seems like it's been something everybody has been looking forward to. So we're excited to see your drop this weekend.
Yeah, that's very exciting. And 6 months in the crypto world can definitely feel like an eternity. So I'm sure a lot of koalas are looking forward to that.
Now, definitely. Sorry, I'm chiming real quick. I can say, like you mentioned, 6, 7 months since our last event back in late February. In NFT world, it's like 6 or 7 years. So, we were a bit disappointed that we feel like we kind of missed out on some of the Hedera heat waves. So, hopefully we can have a successful Gen 2 launch and kind of keep the momentum going through the fall and winter. And like Buck mentioned, that will kind of lead into, our liquidity pool, hopefully getting launched by the end of the year on SwapSwap. So that'll allow us to start partaking in, their DeFi aspects. And then that will kind of lead into, our play to earn game, which we'll further discuss here in a second. So, excited.
Yep, fantastic. Lots coming for the koalas. Very exciting. Now, to dive in a bit deeper, you guys mentioned building on Hedera was the obvious choice. And we were just curious why it is you chose to build in Hedera, and why you think Hedera is primed to disrupt the NFT and metaverse market. Do the koalas want to go first?
Yeah, for sure. I'll go ahead and chime in. So, I think a lot of people within the community, most started off just kind of as, Hedera enthusiasts, and we had a lot of HBAR in our pockets. So I think when people first kind of start getting into crypto, they figure out about Bitcoin and proof of work, then they eventually move on to proof of stake. So it's like kind of the next evolution was, when I first diving into crypto was discovering Hashgraph. And I was like, wow, man, this is clearly the future. If there's going to be a winner in the space, it has to be Hedera. So I think between, the low predictable gas fees, obviously the speed of transactions, carbon negative, the security level, So it just was pretty much a no-brainer as to if, we wanted to launch an NFT project, which one were we going to choose? Were we going to go on ETH? Were we going to go on Solana, Matic? At the end of the day, I think that a lot of people, like I said, in the space were Hedera enthusiasts. So once kind of some of the tools and the capabilities started launching, at the end of last year and beginning this year, it really allowed the space to flourish. So it's definitely been kind of a heck of a journey, but once again, it seemed like a no-brainer. If you're going to start a project within, this arena, why wouldn't you build on Hedera?
Definitely. All the praise for Hedera. And Patrick, how about yourself?
Yeah, it's hard to say better than they did, of course. For us, it was the technology as well. The thing is, we did look at other chains first as well, but some were proven to be so difficult to build on. We didn't. Jorgo had to build on it, of course, the technology part of the whole thing. So he didn't even want to start. Then we had others that we looked at, and they were just not safe. And then I said to Jorgo, why don't look at Hedera, because I had it in my portfolio. Astonishingly enough, he didn't know about it yet, so maybe it's not good that I say that, but then when he looked into it, because he said, wow, Patrick, they're in the top 50, why didn't I know that? I said, well, you should have been paying attention, wrong YouTube channels probably. So he looked into it, and within an hour he called me back. He said, these guys, this is so easy. And then he mentioned the low fees as well. And within, just for instance, it says as much about Jorgo maybe as about Hedera, because within just 2 days he had the whole connection with Hashback, with help from them as well, the Hashback wallet set up, and he could actually mint. So that's how easy it is to build on Hedera, and I think that was one of the big pros that we said, wow, then this is the one. And it's a safe network as well. So and the koalas, they said it all actually.
I'm still astonished, whenever we go to crypto events and meetups, whatever, and some people either are surprised that we're building on Hedera, that we have such a vibrant community, or as you said, Patrick, many haven't even heard about Hedera, which is baffling to me at this point. But I'm sure that when things come around again, and everybody will have known about it, and it will be on everybody's radar. So I couldn't be excited for when the market turns, and when Hedera should be catching everybody's eyes, and we're taking all strides as a community together towards that point. It's been great. Last time we had over on the Ecosystem Spotlight series, we had Creamies, the Dead Pixels, and
Angry Baboons.
Yes, and they were great. How much of a cohesion we have in the NFT ecosystem on Hedera. Likewise, more in the DeFi space, we're all trying to help each other out. So it's great to know how passionate you guys are about your projects, and how you are here to make Hedera a better space. And already through your contributions to the space, you've established yourself more or less as a blue chip project. So Patrick, you have your hand up. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, just wanted to jump into things that you said, because I think you're 100% right. Because the last few days, because I'm trying to reach out to other projects outside Hedera as well, to get more attention to the Hedera economy, so to say. But I've been diving into some other chains that chains that are also trying to start up these NFT projects, the same the way actually as Hedera does. And I was so surprised to find out that now actually Hedera is already starting to take the lead compared to some other even bigger chains that are in the top 30 actually, higher volumes, bigger in volume, bigger projects. But really, Hedera is taking the lead, so something is going very well here. So the approach that Hedera is now taking, it is looking to be like the right one, and apparently new projects see this. So we're doing great, I think. the Hedera ecosystem.
I couldn't agree more. By the way, so we have a set of questions that we will be asking our two projects today. But if anybody wants to jump in and have their own questions for either of our panelists, feel free to do so. For the next question, I wanted to ask you, why did you choose to venture into the world of play to earn and metaverse, respectively, and which one would you say best describes your project? Patrick, would you like to go first?
Yeah, I just want to say who kicks it off. Okay, well, I'll do it. I've got enough words for free, so koalas ain't got nothing on me. Okay, so anyway, yeah, well, my brother and I, we are actually long-time crypto fans already, and we were discovering NFTs a bit late last year. But it was actually only when we looked into the metaverse and play to earn a bit more that we saw that there was still a lot that could be improved upon in this space. It's a young space, but we saw during the bull run beginning this year that a lot of projects sold out. Even when they had no white paper or a one-page website, nothing but a few lines of text, no faces, no transparency, nothing, and so on, and they still sold out. So we spoke about it together, and we said, I think we can do this better. So what we were already known with concept and design, and we had Jorgo, a good friend of ours, who could do the technology side. So we said, why not? We tried to tick all boxes, started a project with a great team, which I'm still very happy with. We have an awesome team. How do we describe our project? I think as a gaming metaverse, because we focus a lot on gaming. So not a metaverse gameplay, but a gaming metaverse where we will really try and deliver fun gameplay that even without the play to earn factor should be worth your time, because that's something that we want to change as well.
That's great. Sorry, go ahead, Tiro.
I was just going to say as well that's a very good description, and it sounds very interesting. Koala Klub, same question to you guys.
Yeah, for sure. I'll go ahead and chime in on this. I think Patrick kind of did a great job explaining a lot about his project and kind of some of the goals and things he was looking to accomplish. And like Buck mentioned earlier, we rely extremely heavily on community input for our projects to kind of guide us in the right direction. And, one of our main mission goals is to, connect people across the globe. So we thought, what better way to kind of connect some people across the globe than, through play to earn and through a gaming experience through an NFT project. So, when we were kind of first looking into some ideas to kind of help provide utility to the project and our community members, we definitely noticed kind of a lack of the play to earn aspects, metaverse aspect within the Hedera space. So we decided to kind of go down that route. I definitely say we're not really obviously like a metaverse project, and it's more just the play to earn aspects within ours. So, kind of what our concept is going to be is, pretty simple play to earn game, player versus player, kind of similar to like Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter. So nothing too crazy or complicated. But we really just wanted to, again, provide some utility to our holders to where, we're going to have a separate spin-off collection of 256 NFTs. It's going to be called Qualified Club. If you own one of these NFTs, you'll basically get monthly access to, tournaments that we'll be hosting where, people within our community can, obviously chat, engage, have fun with each other. We found out we have a lot of gamers in our community, so we definitely thought this was kind of a good direction to take the project. And it'll help, once again, kind of increase the camaraderie and the cohesion within, the community members that we already have. So, unfortunately, we don't have the in-house developers to kind of create our vision of the game. So, over the past couple months, we've been interviewing a lot of professional gaming studios, looking at developers that have already built NFT games, play-to-earn games, on BNB, on ETH, on Sol, Matic, the whole works. So, we spent I don't know how many hours interviewing teams and projects to kind of fit or find the right fit for us. We can't officially announce which gaming studio we're partnering with because we're still finalizing some details. But I would say hopefully within maybe the next month or two, we should be able to announce that and start production. So just super excited. And once again, kind of the goal was to connect people across the globe and sort of provide further utility to our community members.
Yeah, and I think that's awesome. You guys have done a great job with the Koala NFTs and now building further on top of that with your play to earn game. And speaking of that, I imagine you guys have put a lot of thought and time into that recently. What would you consider some of the unique play-to-earn concepts that need to be accounted for when building out a GameFi project?
Yeah, I mean, one of the main things, especially if we're hosting monthly tournaments, we want to make sure that obviously the game works properly. So from a development standpoint, we wanted to make sure that we have proper integration with our wallets. Our utility token will be able to be distributed to match winners. A big problem a lot of times with the gaming and play to earn aspect, especially if you're matching up against other players, or like if you're playing PlayStation or Xbox, whatever it is kind of the degree and expertise of other people. So that's something that we'll probably have to work through to make sure that if you're constantly playing someone that's head and tails above you, you're probably going to lose that match pretty often, especially if you're paying a couple tokens to play the match, and whoever wins gets to earn those tokens. So that's something that our developers are looking into, and kind of some of the back-end coding and algorithms that they put in place. A lot of that will come once we have kind of some data and statistics and information on a lot of the game player users. So once we kind of have an understanding, okay, these players are some of the top-ranked players, then ideally the back-end coding will be able to match them up to people that have essentially the same level of gameplay that they do. So that's probably one of the biggest issues I think we're going to encounter. But once again, in general, we want to just kind of create a play-to-earn experience and help build camaraderie within the community. And at the same time, one of the main goals for doing this play-to-earn game was to not only show the community that play-to-earn is viable on the Hedera network, but also show developers from other chains that, hey, if you're looking to kind of go down the play-to-earn route, why wouldn't you choose Hedera? Once again, it's the speed of transactions. If you have a utility token, the ease that you can send it, and the low gas fees, obviously the level of security of the network. So I think by having a successful play-to-earn game, especially ideally the first player versus player fighting style game, we'll be able to demonstrate to other developers and other chains that, if you're going to build a project, you got to come over to Hedera. That's pretty much the no-brainer option.
Definitely. I love to hear your enthusiasm. And for sure, so many variables come into play when designing a game like this. But I have no doubt you guys will do an amazing job listening to the community, to their feedback, and making adjustments based off of that. What more could a gamer ask for? That's fantastic. Patrick, how about yourself?
Yeah, we have. It was surprisingly, by the way, I'm saying a Dutch word there. I liked what they just said about taking into account the different levels of gamers that will onboard their gameplay. So that's actually something that I didn't think of. It's something else. It's something that we don't have to look at because it's not a concept and what they have. But hats off to them. It's good that they're taking into account these different levels. I like that. So the thing is, when we started our project, we did see the need that we really needed to change the game a bit. And I'm talking about the play-to-earn sector. Because if you look at other play-to-earn games or metaverses that are now existing, and I'm seeing that Koala Klub is also paying attention about how to change things. But what we like to do is ask ourselves the question, would I play this if you take out the play to earn factor? Because that's something that we think is very, very important. Because if not, would it be sustainable long term? I mean, if you don't get real gamers on board, how long will your project really last? And that's something that we all need to think about, because that's changing the game in this metaverse, in this play to earn gaming environment. That's the word I was looking for. So also, how will you prevent gamers to not feel they are paying to earn? So it shouldn't be a pay to earn, it should be a play to earn. So because gamers, that's something that they really don't like. If you go to a game and you first need to pay, for instance, a very simple example is Axie Infinity. You need to buy these expensive birds, spend like $100, and then you need to hope that you can earn them back, So of course gamers will say it's a pay to earn, not a play to earn. So that's something that we really want to change. I think we have some great answers to this. We are implementing them into our gaming metaverse, but we do think that this is one of the biggest hurdles that this industry needs to overtake. A second, just as important one, we think, is game design and play. we already showed some teasers of our world and released some city screenshots too, by the way. At this moment, we are laying out the first design of our user interfaces, which the team will probably put online anytime now on our Twitter space. So if you want to see them, just go to our Twitter page. So besides that, people like the design of our NFTs. So that's a compliment to Marcel, because Marcel works together with Kunal, and we think that a graphic designer together with 3D designer, that's really a golden combination. And so I'm very happy with my brother and Kunal working together. So what else? So we think we really need to step up in-game design, and we're seeing in the space already that this is really happening with some other projects and other chains already. So we're not the only ones seeing this, but more projects on Hedera as well. I think Ashfall is really, everyone knows Ashfall in the Hedera ecosystem. I think they're ramping it up as well. So that is, that's what we all should do. Because how are you going to onboard gamers if they are playing these awesome games, the awesome design Fortnite, Overwatch, and Genshin Impact that I learned of through Kunal, our 3D designer, and then they have to go to our space. It needs to look the same. It needs to look at least the same. So there are some points that we really like to pay a lot of attention to. You see, I speak for three.
Well, it's fantastic. Really interesting, Patrick. Thank you for the great answer.
That's very well said, Patrick. And definitely, I think that there's quite when we're talking about games that people like to play, I think that it's a very wide range there, because there are still people that enjoy spending time playing Candy Crush or just some solitaire, maybe, right? And then there's the others who are more hardcore, who want an actual experience, a AAA game. And I think that there's definitely something for everybody. And but I agree that quality generally is very important when it comes, especially to these big multiplayer games. So you mentioned about play to earn. I didn't understand completely, Patrick, if you said pain to earn, but that's a good expression.
No, pay. I said they have the feeling that they pay to earn to start with, like with Axie Infinity. So, but it needs to be play to earn, and we need to give the gamers this feeling of play, not pay.
I agree, and there's especially when it's a good game, then there's no pain to earn. But since you mentioned it, guys, I would love to learn, because generally when you're earning, most of the time this means a fungible token, the utility token of the ecosystem. So what are some of the unique dynamics that you are considering between the project fungible token and the non-fungible tokens? Koala Klub, would you like to go first?
Yeah, I'll definitely go ahead and kick it off. So we're kind of obviously combining the two aspects in regards to our play to earn game. So obviously we wanted our game to be very accessible. So whether you own any koalas or not, you'll still have access and be able to play the game. Now, if you want to earn some of our fungible tokens, so like our native tokens called Koala Hashcoin, then essentially would need to own like at least one koala. So the way kind of our project setup is, we already have our native staking set up, through main stage creator tools. So shout out to Dead Poet Society if you haven't looked into that, awesome option. But basically, if you own any koala in your wallet, as long as they're not listed, bi-weekly you get fungible tokens deposited into your account. Then at that point, if you wanted to play our game, you either pay 1, 2, or 3 tokens depending on which difficulty level you're playing on, whether you're playing the computer or matched up with another person. Essentially what we'll do is, the utility token will be sent to, essentially like an escrow wallet. So both players will match up till they each pay, let's say 1 token. 90% will go to the winner of the match. The other 10% gets put back into the liquidity pool for the game. So that way it's not dried out so quickly. Now, to kind of provide further utility besides just the token itself, that's where our token gating and a separate spin-off collection, so the 256 NFT collection I talked about earlier, that's where that's going to come into play. So we plan on hosting monthly tournaments for our users. So if you own one of those 256 NFTs, then you'll have access to that monthly tournament where it will be almost 20,000 HBAR worth of prizes for the top 16 participants. So it'll basically just be like a NCAA tournament style bracket. You get matched up with someone. If you win, you advance. And obviously, there's age-4 prizes for them. But even if you're not involved in that tournament, if you're simply just playing the game and you're only earning our fungible token, then obviously there's other utility that you could use with our token. So whether that's buying whitelist for our Gen 3, buying some Koala Klub merchandise. Obviously, once we launch our liquidity pool and saucer swap, you'll be able to yield farm with that. In addition, we're setting aside specific and certain amount of koalas from Gen 2 as well as Gen 3 that will be strictly purchasable through our native token KHK. So that's kind of how we're tying in the whole fungible token and non-fungible token into our player and gaming as a whole.
That sounds very well thought out, and I think that the tournament style bracket, that should be the talk of the town when it comes about. Definitely, I guess the Koala Fight Club is something that people talk about. Sorry for the bad joke, guys. Patrick, would you like to take...
I was like, you're not supposed to talk about it, but I guess we are talking about it. So.
There's no such thing as a bad joke. We just it's good, Even a bad joke, if people laugh at you, people laugh. People laugh with you, they laugh too. So who cares? Laugh at me all the time, so I got used to it. So anyway, our Steam token, a utility token, will be used in game to drive our in-game economy. So it makes sense, of course. You can see you can use it in the game to buy new NFTs or pay with it in. Excuse me. To use actually also in-game travel. So that's something that we like to incorporate there as well. But also other aspects in the game. There's so much that we can do in our metaverse, of course. So you'll be able, for instance, to own a shop. People can buy your NFTs, or some might be very lucky and get a bank early because they're quite scarce as well. Generate staking rewards there. Another way to generate Steam tokens is to rent or lend out your NFTs, maybe to gamers that will onboard later. Because if you have other players play with it, you can share in the profits. You sit back and have them enjoy your NFTs. So, but the simplest way actually to earn is actually just walking on the map and try to find lost tech, and you can do that as well without. You don't need to own an NFT to start in our gameplay, of course. So you don't need to pay to start, but you just play to start. So that's great. What you could do is then find lost tech, for instance, or special rare animals. Then you can upgrade them by combining them, or if you have lost tech, you go with your animal to a pet shop, and in the pet shop you combine them together. It's a sort of crafting, and we're actually trying to see where we can do more of this stuff. So many more possibilities, but it's too long to say everything, and we don't have too much time. Can we stretch it with an hour? This Twitter space, is that an option?
Yeah, of course. I don't know about Twitter, but I'm happy. About as long as you like.
Don't let me determine the rules, okay? But yeah, I can have some.
No, there are no rules. No rules at all. I don't think Twitter will mind. I don't think he ever sleeps, to be honest. So no, I'm happy to go over the hour. Definitely, we got a lot of interesting questions for you guys. Is there anything else you wanted to share, Patrick? Or
you want me to go on even further?
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it.
Let's some other speaking too. I would like. I see HBAR Joe on the top of the list, and I see Spot and my team. I want to say hi to them, but let's get back to the storyline.
Yeah, definitely say hi. Hello, everybody. Again, anyone that wants to pitch in, ask Koala Klub or Patrick from Earthlings any questions about the projects, feel free to, and we'll be sure to pass you the mic. But moving on and talking of gamification, so what forms of gamification do you plan to use to create demand and increase interaction on your platform? And I'll start with you, Patrick.
You sure? Because I was the last one speaking, right?
Go for it.
Oh, okay. So let's see. Wait a second. Yeah, so no, I'm back on track. I just had to think what was the question again. Yeah, so because we touched on this a bit already, I think. So yeah, well, actually, we want to open the gameplay a bit more than just mining for new NFTs. Simple Axie gameplay. No hate for Axie, by the way. It's just a good example. But you know, we don't want to be the next shooter or racing game, but we want to be we actually strive to be the first. To also add quests and create sceneries where you will really feel like you're in a different world. What other great big games are doing as well. So trying to give a gaming experience, for everyone actually. Like when I was younger. Yeah, no, I'm not that old, but when I was younger, Age of Empires, you know, that's something that I really liked playing a lot of years ago. I loved how you could expand your buildings, improve on your items, your infrastructure. And attacking the enemy was fun too, but there won't be any much aggressive gameplay, but that come up. That wasn't too aggressive. Right? So this is something that we really like to do. Another game that I really want to point out. I found out through my nephew actually. That's Subnautica, and maybe not everyone knows about the game, but this is a great a great example of gameplay. You find yourself in a big, immense underwater world, and you see all of these big fantasy creatures, and if you then go into it sounds boring, but go and play it. It's sold 5.3 million times. It shows that family-friendly gaming is very hot still, and it's actually gaining ground still. But the thing is, they have awesome scenery. It's family-friendly, and you're swimming on the water, nothing's the matter, and all of a sudden this big giant creature comes up with you, and with the environment and the music around you, you really feel in there. So that's gameplay that's really getting you into the game. So these things are unseen until now. Well, we still have to build it, okay? It's not tomorrow. And it's all these facets of gaming that we really like to incorporate for the first time in these projects. But it's ambitious, we know that. So please don't ask me to finish it tomorrow. But
no, take your time, Patrick.
Yeah, thank you. So but the thing is, we are an ambitious project. We know that, the team knows that. But we're here to stay. We're not giving up. We're gonna build this thing, and we intend to build it on Hedera, so that Hedera, in let's hope not too long, will have the best metaverse gameplay there is, and that will set Hedera on the map.
Yeah, I've no doubt about it. I'd love to hear the vision you have for Earthlings. And did Maul or Koala Buck?
I'll go ahead and chime in on that. So, I mean, as far as gamification and things we plan to use to incentivize players to play the game and to interact with the project in general and create demand. Obviously with our fungible token and eventually launching, like I said, that liquidity pool and saucer swap. I think that'll definitely drive some demand towards the game. So, 20% of our supply for our fungible token is going to be strictly dedicated to the play to earn game itself. So, 20%, the only way you can earn that is through playing matches and winning matches, whether it once again against the computer or against other team members, or members within the community. Like I mentioned before as well, obviously the monthly tournament that we'll be hosting with, a lot of HBAR prizes. So the top 16 participants would earn HBAR if you place. First place, I think it's about 10,000 HBAR, and then the other 19 and some change gets split amongst the other 15. So, not only is it kind of, like I said, creating camaraderie within the community, a lot of competitiveness, but, there will be some incentive to actually play the game as well. In addition to kind of help, create and increase a lot of demand for the game, I don't know if you guys saw or not, but, a couple hours ago, we did announce like an official partnership with Blade Wallet, who does have a lot of experience within the gaming and play to earn industry. So they already have a very successful game, Slime World, I believe it's called, that they've already integrated their new token. It's easily distributed through the wallet itself. So, we mainly decided to partner with Blade Wallet just because they're not necessarily only focused on the Hedera NFT space, but they're also focused on, in general, like Web3. So, they're really focused on the fashion, art, music and media and entertainment industries. I think at this point they have at least 16 or 17 official partnerships, and they have a lot more that they're going to be announcing over the next couple of weeks and months. That's going to give us, great exposure to a lot of different members that are maybe Web2 based, but are looking to get into Web3. So hopefully that should bring in, potential upwards. They said, they have about 1 million plus people within those brands that will be basically cross-pollinated and marketed to, and with a heavy focus on Latin American and Asian markets. So that's kind of one thing that we did notice within the NFT space. It's kind of a good thing and a bad thing, where it is very close knit and it's very small. And I think we're looking to obviously expand the network and expand the community. So what are some ways that we can do that? So I think that with this official partnership with Blade Wallet, it's going to bring in a lot of people that maybe haven't been paying attention to Hedera, and put some eyes on the arena and the ecosystem. So by doing that, by hosting obviously the monthly tournaments with HST prizes, and then obviously having kind of the fungible token aspect where you can use that for DeFi purposes, which has really helped catapult the Hedera ecosystem over the past couple months. I think those are definitely some reasons why we'll see some increased demand and people wanting to play the game.
Definitely, yeah, I did. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Tito.
I was just going to say that sounds amazing. Congratulations on the partnership with Blade Wallet, and I think that you were spot on over there, Mal. I think that should really touch the masses and really increase the exposure for your project as well as Hedera as a whole. And I never cease to be amazed by. First of all, both your team's passions in building valuable projects, but also for the empowerment that Web3 provides for projects such as yours, where crowdfunding and communities empower passionate builders who have an imaginative vision to actually build something that earlier on was restricted to big companies and people who had really the financial backing to see their vision come to fruition. So it's great that we're in this position here today in Web3. Celestial Being, thanks for joining us as a speaker. It's good to see you. Do you have a question?
Yeah, you guys can hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, my question is like a general to both developers. I just want to know, long term, do you guys see your game expanding? Like, how you have like Fortnite, where you have like different expansion packs and different characters being added. Do you see that as well for you guys in your space, or you're just like we're just gonna build this one type of game and maybe slight updates, but then it's just gonna be a pretty just like we're gonna build it all out at once?
Yeah, no, I appreciate the question, Celestial Being. So I'll go ahead and tackle that one first. I would say initially this is kind of a proof of concept play to earn game for our project. It's a bit more simple, like I said, just kind of a player versus player fighting style game. So there's not going to be really any like skins you could buy to upgrade your characters or additional weapons or anything like that. Really, it's just going to kind of come down to the competition of playing once again versus each other. Now, I would say long term, if the game is successful and becomes a big hit and we see a lot of engagement with it, then we do have some plans further on down the road. I maybe don't want to give away too much yet, but it would probably be another play to earn game that we would come up with that would hopefully incorporate not only our project but a lot of different their NFT projects within the community. So that way we could get some other projects involved. So if this is successful in its launch, then there are plans down the road to do another game, a little bit different style.
Shall I tackle it from my side then too?
Awesome, that's very exciting, Mal. Yes, definitely go for it, Patrick.
Okay, yeah, I think in our case it might be a bit easy because we already have this. These avatars and the NFTs that we are building now already. We will have them. Well, what I said with the crafting, we will have these add-ons, but also the players. You can add, just like I guess what you said, Fortnite or Overwatch, one of the two you named. You will be able to upgrade your avatars, your animals, even your vehicles. And the thing is, we'll be having to build for a long time. So we'll begin with simple gameplay, but we will continue building year after year after year because we want to incorporate more and more and more different game strategies and try to tackle as many possible players actually. What I said, you got some that like quest, others like more of a collectible gameplay. Others are actually less gamers and really come for the play to earn. So yeah, we will still continuously build and upgrade to it. hope that answers the question and I didn't get it wrong, but we will never stop building, I think.
Thank you. That explains a lot. Yeah, and it's two different time of game developments that you guys are going after. I appreciate the answer. Thank you guys.
Thank you for asking.
Yeah, thank you for being. Great question, and great to hear the vision these guys have. Never stop building.
And it's great that we have projects today that are tackling the same play to earn subject of the day, but also the vision that they're implementing it is very different, but gives us a more cohesive vision of the play to earn and metaverse space being built on Hedera. King Solomon, thanks for joining us as a speaker. Do you have a question?
No, I wanted to hop up and just listen in, but when we see these spaces filled out with speakers, it generally gravitates more people to join into spaces and it's awesome what you guys are facilitating. I did want to I'm not as familiar with Headstarter, so I definitely want to hear from you guys. I did want to mention to Earthlings, I'm super pissed. The last one on Dropper, I missed because I have the Founders Pass or whatever. And then I did the second one. And the third one of the dudes in my Patreon was like, make sure you go and make your Earthlings. And I went on the day after, and it went from Founders Pass to early access to public. I'm curious, is there a way on Dropper to have the Founders Pass facilitate all the way through, even throughout early access, or does it cut off with because there's those 3 different tiers, right? And this is nothing against you guys. That's totally on me. I'm just curious, what Dropper's settings are, and if there's a way to facilitate, that in any way whatsoever.
Man, you scared me there for a bit because you said, "Oh, you were super pissed." I'm like, "Oh no, what did I do?" No, but let me get this right. So you're asking if we will always if we will always drop NFTs through their whitelist spots through their platform. Am I getting this right, or did I get that wrong?
Yeah, sort of. So with the last drop that you guys just did, right?
Yeah.
There was time frames set up where if you were a founders, basically a founders pass holder, and I forget what it's called because I hold one of those.
Yeah.
Yep. If you're a founders card holder, I think you had the first 24 or 48 hours or whatever it was. But then it went from founders card to early access. And if the founders forgot to mint and it was the early access portion, the founders were no longer able to mint because it just transitioned directly into early access, and then early access transitioned into public.
Yeah, that's where I got you wrong because early access. I just had the next whitelist as a word in my head. So yeah, okay, continue. Sorry. And that.
No, yeah, that was my question though. I'm curious if the founders card holders would have the ability to mint all the way through until the public mint, just in case those founders potentially miss the founders portion of it. And if not, totally understandable. I mean, it's my fault for missing it, but it's one of the things that I definitely missed, and I was like, shit.
Send me a direct message. Maybe we can make something up. but I'm not the small guys and the big guys are as important to us both. But anyway, so not pulling ranks here. That's what I'm saying. But no, the thing
Patrick,
is, we gave them. Yeah, sorry.
I think you have backup from Hedera Dev.
Great! Yeah, come on, Milan, back me up. Now we're with 2-2. Thanks, Milan.
Yeah, you're welcome. Hi, King Solomon. Thank you for joining. Yeah, so I'm Milan, Hedera Dev, also part of the team of Earthlings. So yeah, I mean, definitely, it's this whole whitelisting stuff is definitely one to address as how do you say that as best as possible, I think. So obviously with the founder card you have this 24 hours spot. Well, in the beginning you have a head start of 24 hours. But I mean, obviously we're still trying to find the right balance. Is it possible? I mean, obviously I think in a technical point of view, yes, it probably is possible. But we're quite specific, we're quite how do you say that? We're quite specific in how we would like to launch to everyone. And then, for example, we have a limit of 2 means, for example, I can't remember if it was the case with the airship or not, but unlimited with 2 airships for the founder card holders, and then with the whitelist you have only 1. So it's mixing a lot of different variables, and kind of trying to avoid, in the beginning, trying to avoid to reduce any factors of errors. We try to really separate those whitelists, and it's the same. Initially we had the Realm founder cards holders and the whitelist we had at the same moment, but there the issue was that we wanted to have everyone who was on a whitelist to have this their spot secured. So we had 400 spots for the whitelist, the general whitelist, and we had 400 people right for that whitelist. And then we wanted to combine that with the Realm founder cards, but we had only dedicated 150 ships for I think it's about 700 Realm cards passes. So those are really things like, okay, in the beginning we have to make sure that these little errors don't how do you say that, mess up a mint. So yeah, I mean, sorry you missed it. And generally, if people reach out to us, we always keep a margin, and we're always happy to provide in any way. So yeah, as Patrick
It's
said,
my fault totally that I missed it, by the way. Like, my fault totally, because I had somebody flag me, and I try to look at so much different stuff on a daily basis that it's almost impossible to catch everything from different ecosystems. I've been a big fan of what you guys are doing with Earthlings, and even with Headstarter and you guys. Like, I don't hold anything right now, but like, I've paid attention to what you guys are facilitating. It's like we keep coming back to the same thing, where it's like almost impossible to keep on top of everything going on, not only within one ecosystem but all the ecosystems. And I actually have a really good idea now that we've had this conversation about something that might be able to facilitate a little bit more of that. Like, I know Mass was laughing, but it's like I'm just thinking on the top of my head. There's ideas around, like, I mean, fuck, how cool would it be if there was legitimately like a calendar that people facilitated within Hedera community initiatives on a monthly basis, where everybody, it was publicly posted across multiple different projects, and everybody could stay on top of everything going on within every project in the ecosystem. And not only that ecosystem, but multiple ecosystems. So that's where my head's at right now. But yeah, Headstarter, I guess the question for you guys is, I know you guys are facilitating Launchpad aspects within Hedera. Number one, I would love for you guys to come up next Wednesday, if you guys want to, onto the Twitter spaces we're trying to do, and give you guys a forum. Number two, like, what has been the experience so far within Launchpad initiatives? And I guess really, like, what are some of the incentives for projects to, want to launch on Headstarter's platform versus, bootstrapping it out themselves, or X, Y, and Z? So,
thanks a lot for the questions, King Solomon. I'm going to try to keep it as brief as possible, just to stay on topic for today's Hedera Ecosystem Spotlight series with Koala Klub and Earthlings. But just the gist of things is that Headstarter is a launchpad that is particularly focused in the immediate future for IDOs, which is initial decentralized offerings for fungible tokens, and we have a thorough vetting process of the projects before they would be selected to run their public sale on Headstarter. On top of connecting these projects with decentralized funding from the community in exchange for the public sale of their token before listing. We also will be announcing pretty shortly details about our accelerator program, where some of the projects that are earlier on, still building, still need to tap into some services for them to reach maturity. They'll be able to do so, and also access funding through the accelerator program as they grow and ultimately reach the time when they are mainnet ready. So that's the gist of things. We launched, I think, in June, July, our fungible token HST, and we've spoken to more than 110 projects that are looking to launch on Hedera to date. We couldn't be more excited for the future, and we want to give awesome platform for such innovative projects like Koala Klub and Earthlings in spaces such as this one.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I definitely don't want to take away from Koala or Earthlings. So, I guess the question for Koala and Earthlings, like, are you guys, or Koala, are you guys utilizing with the Gen 2? Is that going to be, facilitated through Headstarter, or where are you guys going through? And I'm not as familiar with you guys, Koala Klub, but like, can you talk a little bit about your project? I guess for me, and I'm sorry to be like stingy. Like when I come into these spaces, like I just want to learn as much as possible about every project. So like, Koala, it'd be awesome to hear you talk a little bit about the project, like so I can learn a little bit more about it.
Yeah, no, really appreciate the question, King Solomon. So, thanks on hopping on and bringing some attention to the space here. But yeah, I mean, as far as our Gen 2 is concerned, we'll be launching on Zeus, obviously Launchpad. So, kind of a little fun fact, a little history. We were actually the very first project that utilizes Zeus's Launchpad. So we've been out of the space for a little bit just because we haven't had a launch or a mint since all the way back in late February. So once again, like kind of I was joking around earlier, 6-7 months since we've had our last mint, between Gen 1 and Gen 2, it is like 6 or 7 years in the Hedera NFT space. So, just really excited, obviously, to get our launch going this Saturday. So, we have 250 whitelist spots that have already basically been taken up. There should be at least, another 550 that will be available for public launch, which will be at 2 p.m., like I said, this Saturday the 8th. So, hopefully you'll get an opportunity, and maybe you can mint one if you're lucky and quick enough. But yeah, I mean, besides that, as far as the project's concerned, just a little backstory, kind of like Buck was mentioning earlier. We were definitely one of the first projects, within the Hedera NFT space. We launched back in November 2021. As far as our Gen 1's concerned, over 1.5 million HVAR have been traded on secondary markets between a couple different side collections that we have as well. The collection itself for Gen 2 is going to be 2,022. 1,800 of those will be mintable. The other 222 will be set aside for staking purposes, farming purposes, marketing giveaways, things of that nature. Besides that, once our Gen 2 is done minting, we should be launching a liquidity pool, on Saucer Swap. So obviously kind of dipping our toes into the Hedera DeFi space. After that, as far as kind of the roadmap's concerned, then we'll start production on our spin-off collection, which is called Koala Klub, which is going to basically be a collection of 256 NFTs that will grant you access to monthly tournaments that we'll be hosting on our Play to Earn game, which hopefully we should start developing here within the next month or two. Just once we kind of, dot our I's and cross some T's and finalize some paperwork with the gaming studio. And ideally that the Play to Earn game will be launching probably late Q1 or some point in Q2 of 2023. Besides that, we're looking for, our Gen 3 launch will probably be Q1, give or take. So, we've got a lot of things in the pipeline. We're also exploring, obviously a partnership with some koala sanctuaries. So we're doing a lot of research in sanctuaries down in Australia. We're very heavy community-driven projects. We donate 2% of all of our profits to charity. So since the beginning of 2022, we've already donated over $15,000 to charities around the world, and we really hope to continue to do that. Obviously, with the successful launch of Gen 2 and Gen 3, where roughly about 2% of our royalties will be going to charities. So. Hopefully I didn't take up too much time. Gave you a quick little rundown, but if you got any more questions, feel free to fire away.
I guess for Earthlings, like a question I have is like synergy between different projects, because I know paying attention to what you guys are facilitating right now through Dropper and building out kind of this metaverse aspect. Do you guys see synergy within other Hedera projects in a way to integrate them into that metaverse over time? What does that necessarily look like? And then on top of that, a question for Headstarter, because we do see like Saucer Swap and H Suite and some of these dexes that are, certainly launching out. What's the other? There's another one that just launched too.
HeliSwap.
Yeah, HeliSwap. Launchpads, over time do kind of turn into that dex aspect. Is that something that you guys are headed towards over time, or where do you think that, is going to go? So I guess it's a twofold question for multiple projects. So.
Earthlings, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, actually, the answer is yes. I think we're already doing that in the background, but can't say all these things yet. Maybe because now I've got backup. Maybe Milan would like to say something about this too, because my Yeah, you missed the beginning, King Solomon, because I was alone, but Milan is now my backup. So if Milan is still listening in, he might add some more to it than just yes.
Yeah, yes, I am. Thanks for the question, King Solomon. Yeah, I mean, collaborations, partnerships, right? That's it's one of the backbones in Web3 or in general in the Hedera ecosystem. There are many people that know each other very well. It's quite tight knotted, and I hope more and more people are coming in, and probably then it will expand. And but still, people know each other. And yes, at the background, we are working on partnerships. We do take a very, how do you say that, a very not a distant approach, but we are
Cautious?
very, sorry,
cautious maybe.
Yeah, cautious. Well, I mean, it is in a positive way. You've seen, I think, everybody's seen that one of the biggest things we are striving for is like an excellently, how do I say that, a brand that you can directly recognize, and the quality is like the best of the best. At least that's what we're striving for. So we're really step by step. We are interested in partnerships, and we are working on the background, and it is coming, and you will see it. And it will be there. Yeah, definitely, because it's the backbone. And yeah, it's great to be reinforcing each other. But we're taking very, very, very cautious, or not cautious is a bit negative, but I mean very careful approach. Like we're not, as you maybe seen, we're not like sharing constant like, oh yeah, here you have a whitelist, here you have a whitelist, here you have a whitelist. No, we're really taking very slow and on the background and making sure it's like a 200% collaboration. I don't know if does that answer your question, King Solomon?
I think to me at least it makes a lot of sense. When you're a project such as yours and you're building so closely to community, I think it's very important to under promise and over deliver. It's very important when you have a DAO or you're building so close to your community and they're attuned with everything and they give you the right input. It's always important to set the right expectations and the practices. So I think that's a spot on, a great approach there, Milan. Just to touch upon the question that you had for us, King Solomon. We as Headstarter, we want to stay committed to supporting the launch of Hedera native projects, and that's why on the DEX side of things we have great partnerships with Saucer Swap right now, for example, where all the projects that will be launching through a Headstarter IDO will have listing incentives on Saucer Swap, for example. So we, as Milan said, as Koala also do, I think partnerships are the name of the game, and especially while the space is relatively still small and inclusive on Hedera, working together and finding synergies is the best of all worlds.
Yep. No, I 100% agree, guys, and I appreciate both those answers. One tiny suggestion, because having these spaces is insanely valuable for Headstarter and Master. I would literally be inviting up as many people as possible, because filling out the speaker list, gets it bootstraps like kind of like the Twitter algorithm as well. And like the bigger problem that we have in this space isn't just facilitating communication within our individual communities. Oh, and I'm talking like from Headstarter's purview or from Hedera's purview, that which kind of extrapolates that out by X2. It's trying to get into these spaces with like Ethereum communities and things like that, and like really facilitating like cross-chain collaboration, because it's almost impossible to try to get into some of these spaces. Ethereum spaces, especially, Solana spaces, certainly, Bitcoin spaces, 1,000,000%. And if we can start breaking down these barriers, yeah, I mean, it would just be fantastic. So, yeah, I love what you guys are doing. I am definitely don't want to be taken over this. I definitely am glad that you guys were able to answer some of my questions. And, you know, I'll hang out here for a little while, or if you guys want me to hop down to listen. But I would recommend, like, anybody down in the audience right now that's listening to Headstarter that wants to learn more about Earthlings, that wants to learn more about Koala Klub, come up, raise your hand, ask a question, become a panelist speaker. No question is a dumb question. Because a lot of people just hop into these spaces without knowing exactly what's going on. So yeah, great job, guys.
I appreciate that, King Solomon, and I definitely agree. One thing that Hedera needs to do, and it's a mission for all of us, is to start reaching into these other communities and start having Solana community, Ethereum, as you said, start dripping into Hedera and hopefully staying here for the long run. And I really love the Hedera events calendar that you proposed. I think somebody.
You better not steal that, dude. You better not steal that.
We'll think about it. Milan.
Yeah, just about the calendar. I think something already exists like that, but maybe it was created a year ago when like the NFTs or the HBAR scene were like enormous booming. I know there was a calendar like that. There was one little thing.
HBAR to the moon. Back in like the OG days, had like all of the Hedera NFT projects, even like a year and a half ago, which was crazy for him to facilitate that. So
that was it. I think. I think that's we should pick that up again. So the other thing was the cross chain. Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. You know, because what you see often right now, and of course, I like my little circle with other Hedera enthusiasts, and I must admit, you know, I don't know enough from other chains, but this is the way forward if we reach out to other chains, to other communities, because, you know, in the end, as I'm talking from Earthlings' perspective, in the end, what are we really trying to get over? It's not per se that we are on Hedera. It's that we are a gaming metaverse, you know, and that's what we like to share. And of course that will attract new people to Hedera. But the goal in itself is not to evangelize Hedera or the HBAR ecosystem. It's just to show the product, to what we're building on it, and then in the process of showing that, they are on Hedera, right? So that's the benefit of being Hedera, is that it works this way and that way. It's extra cheap, it's fast, secure, and so on. So that we will be focusing on that a lot during coming time. And yeah, I mean, King Solomon, if you have any suggestions or ideas, we are very happy to work on that. And yeah.
I mean, the problem always comes behind. You know, if you release an NFT or a token or a coin, it becomes much more difficult to reach out into different ecosystems to talk about the technological advantages or the price advantages with using a network. So, because you've already released a project, I'm not saying it's not possible. It's just more difficult. And we know, like, being in, you know, the Hedera community, it's like $78 in perpetuity forever in USD to launch a 10,000 generative mint on the Hedera ecosystem, which is just completely asinine. So the price of HBAR in 4 or 5 years could be $17, whatever it might be. And it's still going to be $78 to mint a 10,000 generative NFT collection. So I think, and another problem is every single project up here, Koala Klub, Earthlings, Headstarter, every single one of you guys is working so hard to build out the best ecosystem you could possibly build out internally, and then for the community that you have nascently within Hedera. So it's very difficult to reach out and branch out and like almost do like a community outreach aspect, like to other ecosystems, because you're focused on building out the best utility for your ecosystem right now. But it's still a really interesting problem to solve, right? How do we get there?
Yeah. So actually, it's funny that you mentioned this barrier, the initial barrier. You know, I had some ideas today removing those initial barriers. So once you get people onboarded, like saying having a free NFT, because we can actually do that, like free NFTs. It's what you say. It's super cheap. You can have an infinite amount of NFTs, and still in the end it doesn't cost you anything. But it can be fun, and it can be educational aspect with the claiming your NFT. Also on top of that, using Hedera, you will see. By the way, it's completely not related to the topics of today, but you will see some more information in coming days about using just an API to mint and mint tokens on the Hedera network. So it's super easy. So even like this educational aspect of claiming your NFT, well, that maybe that takes people over the edge to, okay, I'll just add a hashback wallet, and maybe you can make like a little faucet to so you have just enough HBAR to associate the token, and then you have like this first step, and maybe that's the biggest barrier, and maybe then it's get easier. I mean, that's what I have in my head, but obviously it's a way to simplify it, and a lot more hurdles to go over it, but it's definitely the way forward.
I mean, even for Earthlings, because I know this chat is very much so about Earthlings, right? Headstarter and Koala Klub. Like for Earthlings with the metaverse aspects, like getting into discussions with other people building out gamification or metaverse aspects on different ecosystems, and you start talking to these people, and everybody in every ecosystem is trying to facilitate the same thing. Literally, everybody's trying to do the same thing. They're just using different networks. And you start really asking questions to people building out on ETH, which I think a lot of projects built out on ETH are building out for user experience, UX, and UI that exists right now because ETH has a 7-year head start. And they're also building out using ETH because of the liquidity. But what happens is when you start having initiatives, or ecosystems built on like high utility networks like Hedera, which I would consider a high utility network, and a project like Earthlings, it's a really interesting value proposition because there's probably a lot of synergy, because when these ETH projects, even moving to proof of stake, and make no mistake about it, the Ethereum community essentially killed decentralization for utility by moving to proof of stake. They just did. But they're going to run into a lot of issues even over time with, Ethereum as a whole. Like, and it doesn't have to, that doesn't say that Ethereum's a bad network. It just means that where we're going within this space is kind of that network of networks aspect where you want to have plug and play from different ecosystems. And there's a huge opportunity for, Hedera tool sets, within the ecosystem from Hedera to be able to make these other metaverses or other gamification platforms or other games more efficient just based on using tool sets. So, I mean, I certainly recommend like reaching out to other projects and just being like, hey, I'm building here. Where are you building? Oh, you're building on Ethereum? Great. Well, this is the tool sets that we have on Hedera. Like, maybe we should talk and figure out, if there's synergy. And, it seems so stupid and it seems so like middle school or high schooly, but it's the best way to facilitate collaboration in this space, is just literally to spend time reaching out and talking to people.
I think we actually are still, well, you're talking about it now, but we were secretly trying to do this without anyone knowing. But, well, you're saying it now anyway, because the thing is, just a few days ago, Expector did exactly this. But it looked like no one was seeing that. But Expector was trying to get all these Hedera projects. I was late, by the way, and I was making a mess of my short little 5 seconds of fame because I was unprepared. But that was okay. But they were actually doing just that. And then 2 days ago, another Twitter space, the question was raised. So how can we do that? Well, they actually were doing that. So yeah, that's how we're reaching out as well now, and it depends on the willingness of other projects. But what you're saying, yeah, you shouldn't just. Well, there's a lot of synergy, and in our position as a metaverse gameplay, I think we can really try and do this.
I'll give you a tiny bit of alpha, okay? I was an advisor for Expector for the first couple of months, and I rarely do anything like that. So I have to ask myself, where did the idea to break down barriers come from? So yeah, I mean, all that I'm saying, guys, is like, that's certainly happening. And Expector and Dirk, they're great people. Like, Dirk's a good guy. or at least from my experience, he's a good guy. I know that he's building out in a real way in this space. He's put a ton of capital up. But my suggestion, regardless of Expector or anybody else, is every single project in this space can do the same thing that they're trying to accomplish right now. And you have to make sure that your project and your ecosystem stays at the forefront. Collaboration is great, but collaboration for the at the sake of what, if it's going to change the value proposition within your project, just be very cognizant. Definitely cross-chain collaboration is very important, but just understand that like every project owner has that's launched a coin or an NFT or a token at least, has incentivization to bootstrap their ecosystem out way more than they have incentivization to bootstrap yours out. And I think what Dirk and the Expector show or that they're doing is fantastic. But just I actually was the fucking dude that was like, you should reach out to Hedera. There's so much synergy, and nobody's done it yet. And so I'm glad to see that's happening. And he certainly has the funding to stand up those great Twitter spaces and do it. We're doing something very similar, a little bit more organic, but certainly support both initiatives. So.
That's definitely very insightful, King Solomon, and we appreciate the help that you're giving out to the Hedera ecosystem and all the contributions in this talk today. I'm sure that your words mean a lot of food for thought for all of us. While Mitchell is on, I wanted to say hi and see if you have any questions for our panelists today. Haven't heard Koala Klub in a minute.
Hey everybody! No, I was just adding to what King Solomon was saying about branching out and reaching out to other chains. For example, tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern time, right after the non-skull mint, a bunch of us are going to go over to what is called On the Block, and you have people from, Avalanche, Soul, and ETH there. We spent about 2 or 3 days there last week, and we were able to onboard about 15 people. And to this day, I still have a relationship with them. They continue writing to me. They want to know more about Hedera. And I think it's key that we take the time and not only stay in this circle, right? It's a beautiful circle, beautiful community. But sometimes we got to go out there, right? Go out fishing, see what else is out there. And I learned a lot about Avalanche. I learned a lot about Soul. But they learned a lot about what we're doing here in Hedera. And let me tell you something, they were mind blown. We onboarded 15 different guys. They love it. Some of them are even thinking about now starting some projects or cross-chain projects here at Hedera. They're looking at the technology. A lot of people don't know. So definitely, King, you brought up a great point. We gotta, we gotta present ourselves to the other chains. Those are interested tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's called On the Block. And if you're interested, jump in. You could hear, you could learn. And then you never know. You might see something that you like from another project that you could bring over to Hedera.
Well, it's Metcalfe's law. We don't want to be bringing, or we don't want to be, and this is what's happening right now, and it's intermittent, and it happens all the time. And Hedera has had this happen to it over the past year or so. I would say every 2 or 3 months it happens, and it just keeps happening where you have new users come in, then you have these new milestones hit. Like you can look at Zeus Market with 2 million daily that happened. That was like Headstarter or anybody down there. When did that happen? It was like 2 months ago, right? Which is fantastic. But then what happens is it's like a recycling of liquidity where you just have people like FOMOing into new projects, but they're the same people, right? You don't want the same people getting into the same ecosystem like over and over and over again. It's healthy to an extent because people are trading and creating liquidity within the network and doing X, Y, and Z, and that's what's bootstrapping out, DEXs and all these other things that we want to have happen. But Metcalfe's law essentially is bringing new users in to an ecosystem where, essentially if you get, and everything's squared. So if you get 2 new users, you actually have 4. Or if you get 10 new users, you actually have 100. Or if you get 100 new users, you actually have 1,000. And it's probably more. It's like 10,000. But that's really the interesting value proposition. And reaching out and digging into these other spaces outside of the ecosystem is insanely important. And doing that, maybe it's like targeted. I hate the word raid because that's what people did in the with meme coins last year. But if it's a coordinated effort to get out there and spread information and education about what the Hedera Hashgraph ecosystem can facilitate for some of these other networks where it's not attacking, and it's just saying, hey, you have these aspects that are really great, but if you bootstrap on top of that with some of these other aspects to, add more utility to your ecosystem, it would be even better for you. Is a much different conversation, So
I totally agree, and those are all very important points that we all should start contributing towards. Just as a small insight from our side of the spectrum, since we're talking to a lot of projects that are looking or trying to come to Hedera, starting to build on Hedera, one thing that they always come across is dev tools. So dev tools is always something important to support when making a new layer 1 accessible for other builders and developers. And I can tell you guys that there's a lot of projects that are currently on other layer 1s or have yet to launch and are looking for a perfect home that are really considering Hedera. And I think the mission is only starting right now that we have almost all these key infrastructural pieces in place. The wallets, the dexes, the explorers, the launchpads. I think that pretty much there's very few small other things that need to be set up, but I think Hedera is pretty much ready for prime time. With that being said, we're at the top of the hour and a half for this Hedera ecosystem spotlight episode with Earthlings and Koala Clubs, and I just wanted to give the floor for our two panelists for any closing remarks.
I missed some sentences there because for some reason the connection was lost. So I only had the last part. What did you say before the floor?
The floor is yours, Patrick.
It's mine.
Just for some closing remarks. Remarks.
Are you sure? Okay. So yeah, well, I think actually that maybe it's good to close with that. I think that at least, I know we have to be more open to other systems as well, but ecosystems. But I think at the way that Hedera is going now, I think with Hedera is doing a great job, and I think actually because you named Dropper as well, but it's projects like Dropper opening up the space as well to make it easier to onboard on this on the Hedera ecosystem is also something that's going to make the difference. It's a very welcoming system for new projects, and if you ask me, give it another year, and I think Hedera will be one of the top NFT players as well. The pace that. Okay, maybe 2 years, I don't know, but we're going great, and I think that's a positive message that we got from all of this. Great projects. I'm jealous of the Koala speakers who speak so calmly and confident, and they had, great job, guys. Great explanations. I couldn't really always keep up with you guys because awesome explanations. So I'm going to quit because I'm going to just ramble on for hours.
Thanks for that, Patrick. And Earthlings is definitely a very, very awesome project that is contributing to the community as well. Koala Clubs, would you like to have some final remarks? Maybe give some reminders about your upcoming drop and how people can get involved.
Yeah, appreciate it. So thanks for the opportunity. I think just a great summary and kind of highlight the things that people were talking about. So King Solomon, Milan, Earthlings, Mitchell. Just were right on the head. Pretty much explained everything perfectly. I think one of the beautiful things about the Hedera NFT community and the Hedera ecosystem in general is how close knit and tight we are, and how welcome you are. So I think that in order to kind of further branch out, I think we do as a whole community really need to focus on building bridges. So like King Solomon was saying, talk about the tools, reach out to other branches, ask what they're building, see what they're doing. And instead of maybe bashing the other network, we have better technology or we have a better community, that's not going to bring over anyone into our ecosystem. So I think that, just kind of being cognizant of the way you approach people and how you handle those conversations and, really embrace kind of the culture of what the Hedera ecosystem is, which is very warm and welcoming and very educational, and just let people know the things that we're building, the things that we're doing. So the more we can do that, I think, eventually the technology will win out. People will start building. The devs will come over, and then basically at that point, the floodgates are open. So, just once again, Headstarter, I really appreciate, giving us the opportunity to get up here and talk about our projects. Real quick, shameless plug, once again, Saturday, public mint for Koala Klub. So it's on Zeus Launchpad. Check it out. We hope to see everyone there. And other than that, I surely appreciate the opportunity to speak. So thanks.
Hey, Headstarter, real quick. My last comment, and I forget who said this in the last Twitter Spaces, it was like 1 or 2 Twitter Spaces ago. If you look at ecosystems like Ethereum right now, and looking at OpenSea and Rarible and all these other aspects within NFC platforms, and seeing volumes down 90-95% pretty much consistently. And yeah, you might have the outlier project that does really well and bootstraps volume out, but if you look at the network as a whole, 90% down, 95% down, and look at some of the milestones that the Hedera ecosystem has achieved over the past handful of months here. Volumes are up, and there's consistently new milestones being hit, which I think should tell you a little bit about what might be coming. So
I definitely agree with you there, King Solomon. And I think that there's a lot of people who were tourists in the crypto industry who might have come into Ethereum last year. But for sure, one thing that I'm confident about is that the Hedera ecosystem and the H Barbarians are here to stay, and especially supporting some of these solid blue chip projects early would definitely means a lot for us all when setting the trend for what's to come. With that being said, I'd like to thank very much Patrick from Earthlings and the Koala Klub, Koala Mall, and Koala Buck for joining us today to speak about their project, Metaverse, and Play to Earn. We really appreciate all your times, and also King Solomon and Mitchell for chiming in on some very important and interesting points. Lots of cool stuff happening in the Hedera space, as we all know, and we'll definitely continue to keep an eye out on your projects. If anybody wants to steal King Solomon's idea about the Hedera events calendar, well, I don't know, you'll have to face him when the time comes. Feel free to check out our episodes on Hedera Ecosystem Spotlight series. We're putting everything up on our YouTube, and we're looking forward to seeing you guys in the next one. Take care, everybody. Have a wonderful night.
Thank you, buddy.
Thanks, both. I really had fun. I could do this for hours. Thanks, both.
It was
Best show
awesome.
ever.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you,
Yeah, thanks,
everybody.
guys. Appreciate it. Have a
Oh,
great evening.
it was our pleasure. It was lovely having you guys on.